Hello everyone. We are going to start working on our wooden puzzle project. We need to make two pieces of this C shape and one piece of this circle shape. So here's one of those, and we need to make two of those. I made my example out of oak. Oak is a harder wood to work with, so we're not going to use oak for this project. We're going to use cherry, which has a reddish tint to it, or we're going to use walnut, which has a very dark brown color to it. For this example, I'm going to use cherry. First thing we need to do on our steps, we need to lay out our project. So here's my piece of cherry. Scoop my directions up. We're going to lay out all three pieces on this one piece of wood. Our material is 12 inches long, 1.5 inches wide, and a 1/2 inch thick. So it's already cut and planed down to those sizes for us. Again, you can choose between cherry or walnut. I'm going to mark all of our lengths down first, and then we're going to go to the router. We're going to round over the long edges. Then we're going to go to the drill press, drill our holes, go to the bandsaw, saw out that notch right there, and then we're going to go to the workbench and we're going to use files to clean up our holes to make it all nice and smooth and make sure everything fits. Once everything fits right in all the different combination of ways it can go together, then we're going to sand it smooth and we might apply some finish to this. Let's go ahead and lay this out. First thing we're going to do is we're going to split this 1.5 inch width in half. So we're just going to split in half. Half of 1.5 is 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to take my ruler, measure down from our edge 3/4 of an inch. I'll do that in a couple spots. This one's kind of hard to see with my camera in the way. And then we're going to connect the dots. I'm going to go all the way across my piece. That's the way it finds center for this entire project. The lighter you draw your lines, the easier it will be to erase them later on. Now that I've found center of all three of my pieces, we're going to find where these three holes are located. First one is at 1.5, next one's at 2, and 2.5. So let's mark that out. First one is at 1.5, next one is at 2, and the last one is at 2.5. And then since my ruler is already lined up with my edge, I'm going to go ahead and mark the length of this project at 4 inches. Now, all I'll have to do is repeat that process to create one more of those C projects. So I just move my ruler down, mark 1.5, 2, and 2.5. And then the overall length of 4 inches. Now this one is exactly the same steps so far. We don't have a notch in this one. So we're going to mark the same numbers again. 1.5, 2, and 2.5. Here I have all the marks for my holes and my lengths. I have the 3 holes in the first one, its length, 3 holes in the second one, its length, 3 holes in the third one, and its length will be the edge of my project. Now what we're going to do is we are going to lay out this notch in 2 of them. So I take my ruler, it is 1 3/4 up from the edge, and it is a 1/2 inch wide, so 1 3/4 plus a 1/2 is 2 1/4. And I'll do that same thing over here. Before I can do that though, I don't want to use my ruler like this and try to guess where those marks are, we're going to use a square. This is a square. Squares have a base and a blade. So the first thing you do is push the base up against your project, and then you slide it up and down until that blade lines up with where you want to make your mark. We're going to scribe a square line here for our length. Put your pencil on your dot, hold your base to your material, slide the blade into the pencil very carefully not to break your lead. Scratch that line across. Do the same thing for the next one. Put your pencil down on your point, bring your blade up to your pencil mark, scratch it across. Now I can take my ruler, hold it to that pencil mark, and then mark 1 3/4, 2 1/4. Again, I'm going to take my square, so I'm going to flip it over, put my pencil on my dot, blade up to it, same thing down here. That's all we need to do for our layout. Layout done. Now we're going to take this project over to the router and we're going to round over all of these long edges. After we round it over, we're going to go to the drill press, and using our 1/2 inch Forstner bit, we're going to make 3 holes in each piece. So I'm going to drill those 3 locations, these 3 locations, and those 3 locations. Then we'll go to the bandsaw. I'm going to cut up on this line and this line, so this little piece will pop out. I'm drilling into a hole. If you lay this out correctly, these lines should line up with the edges of that middle hole, and that this piece should fall right out. So we're going to cut up with the bandsaw those 2. Then we're going to cut our lengths. So we're going to cut straight down this line here. Because the saw blade takes up a little bit of material, it's sawing away a little bit of material, it's called our kerf. This project doesn't really matter. Our lengths aren't critical here. What is critical is the width in between here. So when we saw out these, we're going to stay just to the inside of our lines. Once we have them all cut out, we have 3 individual pieces. We're going to take them to a bench. We're going to use a file, keep filing them till everything fits together nice, and then we'll sand them smooth and put a little bit of wax on them when we're done, and take them home.